I'm going to link you guys to a Sportsnet article that was released just a little bit ago. It is titled, What Team USA Could Have Looked Like with NHLers at the 2018 Olympics. Now, this is a topic that has been talked about, let's say, for the past year and a half, basically, ever since the NHL has come out with their controversial statements and stands, basically saying, yeah, we're not playing at the Olympics this year, and it's already been confirmed. Olympic teams have already been published by the international ice hockey organizations and whatnot. We got guys like Mason Raymond, Willie Desjardins, Lyndon Vey, and other guys from Team USA and all that, making the Olympics in what looks to be arguably one of the most unengaging selections of hockey players. Now, this is awesome, don't get me wrong, because guys who never would have had a chance to compete in the Olympics beforehand are now getting their opportunities, and it is literally a once-in-a-lifetime moment for some of these players. Like Lyndon Vey, he's never going to play at the Olympics again if the NHL decides to come back. So this is awesome and all that, it's a good opportunity for these players, but of course we can't get through this without saying to ourselves, okay, what if the NHL went to the Olympics? And that's what this Sportsnet article is about, focusing specifically on Team USA. And they're focusing on Team USA because the United States has really been cranking out good quality hockey players over the last, let's say, 2-3 years. Let's go back to the 2015 draft. Who do you got? Okay, Jack Eichel, Noah Hanifin, Zach Werenski, Kyle Connor, Colin White, Brock Boeser. That's just in 2015. If we go over to 2016, we got ourselves Auston Matthews, Tkachuk, Keller, Logan Brown, McAvoy. I'm saying his name right now, guys. Kiefer Bellows, Max Jones, Tufte, Tage Thompson. The 2017 draft, we saw ourselves Casey Middlestad, Kaylor Yamamoto, Jake Ottinger. And next year, it looks like we're going to have a little bit more. The other Tkachuk, Quinn Hughes, going over to 2019's draft, Jack Hughes is producing at a higher rate than Jack Eichel in under 17 USA development team scoring. USA Hockey is really in such a good place, and they're cranking out great players year after year. And by the time we reach the 2022 Olympic Games, I feel like USA is going to have such a strong team. Don't get me wrong, Canada's going to be strong too, but USA has really been stepping up their development over the past few years. So, this is basically what the Sportsnet article is talking about, because they highlight USA Hockey and all that, but they also make their own line selections for what a USA Olympic team this year could look like. I'm going to put a picture of it up on the screen right here. For the forwards, you got a first line of Johnny Gaudreau, Auston Matthews, and Brock Boeser. Now this, I want to talk about this just for a little bit, because Brock Boeser, everybody knows about Brock Boeser. He's in the media everywhere because he's doing an amazing job tearing up this league. And the fact that this roster that Sportsnet has iced actually looks kind of realistic, the fact that we could have had a first line of Johnny Gaudreau, Auston Matthews, and Brock Boeser, yo man, we're getting robbed right here. Going over to their second line, they have Jack Eichel on the left wing, alongside of Trocheck and Patrick Kane. So that is not necessarily a bad decision, because Patrick Kane, he plays on the second line in Chicago, and he's still getting a lot of points. It's okay, he doesn't need first line minutes, because he plays on teams that roll out lines consistently, so it's evenly spread. Vincent Trocheck is a player who I believe actually is doing really, really well, and he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. He's kind of underrated around the league. The third line, they have themselves Pacioretty, centered by Pavelski, and Phil Kessel. Now, Kessel, having him on that third line instead of the second line, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know about having maybe Kessel on the left wing of the second line, move Eichel to center, and move Trocheck down into the third line. I don't know. Of course, it's all hypothetical, so we don't know. But overall, this team doesn't look bad. And even their fourth line, Brandon Saad, Ryan Kessler, and Blake Wheeler. You know your team is good when Blake Wheeler is on the fourth line. And for the extras, they got Dylan Larkin, who's fantastic, and Matthew Tkachuk, who is an aggravator in the purest definition of the word. Defense, they got themselves Ryan Suter and John Carlson. Suter still staying on that first pairing. Zach Werenski with Seth Jones on the second pairing. Now, this is interesting. First off, these guys are both young. These guys are both American. These guys are both Blue Jackets. Imagine how scary this pairing is going to be 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line, when Zach Werenski is in his prime. Because Zach Werenski right now, as a 20-something-year-old, he's doing amazingly well. And my goodness, if he's already good enough to make a top 4 defensive pairing on the Olympic team, on a projected Olympics team, you got a special player right there. Because him being on this team in this position automatically means he's a top 4 American defenseman in the world. That's literally, by definition, what this means. He's a good player, guys. Talking about the third pairing, though, we got ourselves Cam Fowler and Jacob Slavin. Extras become Shane Gostisbehere and Charlie McAvoy. So, McAvoy, he's already a really good defenseman in itself. He would have made this team in this position for sure. I don't know if he would have slotted him above Slavin or whatever, but he is good enough to make this team. Goaltenders, we got ourselves John Gibson as the starter. I don't agree with that. Jonathan Quick as the backup. Just switch Gibson and Quick, man, honestly. And the extra as Corey Schneider. Okay, get Corey Schneider in the backup role and Gibson down as the extra. So, this is what Sportsnet has as a proposed potential Team USA team. And the fact that Brock Boeser could have been a first liner at the Olympics. The fact that if Team USA went to the Olympics with NHLers, Boeser could have been reunited with his good friend Auston Matthews and left winged by a winger as good as Johnny Gaudreau. Man, it stings. And even if you didn't have Boeser playing on that first line, who else does he play with? Okay, does he play with Eichel? That would be really cool and scary to watch if you're not a USA hockey fan. Does he play with Joe Pavelski? Oh, does he play with Phil Kessel? Does he play with Blake Wheeler? Brock Boeser had such a good opportunity if he would have made an Olympic team that went with NHL players, but it's not happening. It's not happening this year. If you want to look at the reasonings and the justifications, you can scroll down on this article. I actually leave the link in the description below, but it says about Auston Matthews, he was teammates with Boeser at the World Juniors and with Gaudreau on Team North America for the World Cup. And they also start talking about how Brock Boeser, at the beginning of the season, nobody would have ever projected him to be a player who they would consider for a team like this. If they were making their own hypothetical USA teams in September, nobody would have thought, okay, Brock Boeser, first line. But now, you can't ignore him. He's top 6, I believe, in the league in goals. I think 1 or 2 people might have caught up to him, but he's in that position where he is genuinely one of the best players in the league in terms of goal scoring. His skating needs work, though, I'll give you that. But in terms of offensive awareness and instincts, Brock Boeser is proving to everybody he deserves to be on a USA Olympic team. And pairing him with guys like Eichel, Phil Kessel, who is very, very good in the Olympics, and choosing guys like Boeser over guys like Van Riemsdyk, or TJ Oshie, or JT Miller. What does that say about Brock Boeser, man? But really, of course, if you're going to make the argument that Boeser belongs there because, oh, he scores a lot of goals, then you gotta make the argument for Anders Lee. Because Anders Lee is really good right now in the league, too. He's the trigger man for Johnny T. But I digress. This is all a hypothetical video, but the fact that Brock Boeser would have been one of the stars of Team USA if he were to make an Olympic team with NHL players, it gets me excited for 2022, because that's when we'll be able to get NHLers. I hope. If the Olympic Committee is like, okay, you guys dropped out of 2018, which means that we're not going to allow you to come to 2022, I'd be pissed off out of my mind, because I don't want to see 2 straight Olympic events with no NHL hockey. Well, NHL players in the hockey, but of course, I don't really expect this team to necessarily win gold, because Team Canada is still #1 and they're absolutely stacked, but I could see this team coming in a good second place, maybe like they did 8 years ago. No salt in the wound or anything there, USA fans. Discuss down in the comment section below what you guys think of these rosters that Sportsnet put up on their article. Talk about other teams. that probably would have transpired if the NHL went to the Olympics. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Plus, thanks for the knowledge trolls like Nostra and Gaming, and bye.